The Affirmative Action Bill has been passed by Parliament. The bill, which has been in and out of Parliament for several years, was unanimously passed by the House. The bill will ensure that a critical number of women are in key positions in governance, public life, and decision-making spaces that will improve the lives of women in the country. Gender Minister Darko Newman moved the motion for the passage of the vote in the House. Let's get on Zoom now and get some reaction to this. Earlier, we spoke to the gender minister, and then we also got a reaction from the Speaker of Parliament. Now, we have a human rights advocate and former country director of Amnesty International, Robert Amoafo. Thank you for your time here on Newstex. This has been a long time coming. What does it mean for the fight for women in the country?
For this opportunity to comment on this. I think this is a win for women's rights movement in Ghana. And I think it's a very brave step by Parliament to pass this very, very important bill in the life of the political and leadership life of the country. As we all know, Ghana has been a doyen and has been seen as a doyen of democracy and part of world's movement around ensuring human rights protection and all. So having this bill passed is a critical step in pushing the gender equality discussion around ensuring that women are properly represented in the various leadership spaces of our country.
A key role in drafting this bill, and you've been advocating for it to be passed. What are some of the key provisions of this bill and how it will benefit women?
So basically, the purpose of this bill is to ensure that women are given space in leadership roles. It's an affirmative action bill, and its aim is to ensure that women are represented in various aspects of society, including social, political, legal, all the facets of our lives. And it's important that we know that in this process, we are ensuring that whenever we look at any leadership space like the Parliament, and we look at government, especially government positions, that women are given a good percentage to represent, ensure that these women are not left out. If you look at current our numbers in Parliament with regards to women, it's very, very sad that we have a very low number of women in Parliament, and therefore it's important that we create spaces for women to be there. And we all agree that if women are in these spaces, we get progress, we get a lot of things that are reflected, and women's issues are reflected in these spaces. If you remember, the passage of that Domestic Violence Act took so long, because of course, if you have only men discussing things that affect women, also, it doesn't have the representation and inclusion of the women's issues in these spaces. So it's a good step because now women's issues will be represented properly in all these spaces that we have more women leading. We would also ensure that children's issues are heard, and that we have issues that would help ensure that our society moves together, not with a patriarchal society where only men are seen to be leaders all the time. Most of the times when we mention who is the president of Ghana or president of any country, we think of a man, and that's what we want to change. We want to change that conversation around leadership being only about men, but also creating space for women.
Now, this bill empowers women to take up leadership roles. But that because we've been in the background for so long, how do you feel our next step of action to be as women?
I think already a lot of work is being done. I've been part of the Affirmative Action Coalition, Affirmative Action Bill Coalition, and there are a lot of women who have done so much work already. So there's work that is being done, and we need to recognize all these brave women who have trained women to be in the political space, who have trained women to be in the leadership space, and there are so many of them. And if I try to mention names, I will not finish, so I will not try and do that. But there's already work that is being done, and there are women who are ready to take these positions and these roles. So we are not now going to start work. What we are hoping is that spaces will be opened when laws are passed, that people who hold these spaces are ready to give, especially political parties who are willing to ensure that they create space within their political spaces, so that, for instance, if we are doing the primaries, that women are given more opportunities in those spaces, so that we realize the import of this bill. That in appointment of places, the president or whoever is responsible for appointing people recognize that there are already women who are ready to take these spaces, and so that it will help us ensure that we realize the import of this bill. And then also we continue creating spaces, especially in education, so that women also have that space to get part of the education. We see that we say we have affirmative action already for education, but sustaining women through the education process sometimes becomes a problem. So it's important that we create that space where women can take the space, and then they can be part of the process. So already work is being done, and we think that we can do more, but the more we can do is that the people responsible for doing this should do their work and make sure that we get these spaces. But also to encourage the president to, if this bill gets to his desk, we plead with him to fast track the assignment of this bill, so that we can quickly start working on making it a realization. And any responsible body that is supposed to move to make this bill be realized, or make sure that the things in this bill come into reality, do their work. Because we saw the Rights Information Act when it was passed. It took some time for the things to set in place, the committees, the commission, all these things to be set up. It took a while. We don't want that in this time. We want fast track things to be done, so that the import of this bill will be realized.
You're watching News X. We'll be back with more. Do stay tuned.